It's 4 rounds down in the Toyota GR Cup North America season, but plenty of action still to come in this season as we turn our sights to Virginia International Raceway, a tight, twisting, and technical circuit that is sure to challenge drivers and cars alike. DJ Clark joined up here in the commentary booth by Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, this really and truly is a circuit like we haven't seen over the course of this season thus far.
Well, that's our third round, and I think the big point for me is contrast to consequence. Look back at Circuit of the Americas. Similar track length, similar number of corners. However, the consequence for stepping over the track boundaries here at Virginia International Raceway, they are boundless here. Step off into the grass, and it's a long run down the hill into the tire bundles, so you got to keep it on the black stuff today to make it to the end.
Yeah, you certainly do, and as we've seen from some of the other series over the course of the day, that is a little bit more easier said than done, but drivers rolling off here for one pace lap around this 3.27 mile circuit, a grand total of about 17 corners here at this point. Very, very difficult to get right, very easy to get wrong. Really only 2 or 3 primary overtaking zones, as a lot of this circuit is a one-way street.
A one-way street, absolutely. It's narrow in many places. You documented the passing opportunities into Horseshoe at turn 1 and into Roller Coaster at turn 14. Everywhere else, if you get side by side, you better be ready to stay that way for a little bit or sort it out very quickly. But if you're side by side, you'll lose a lot of ground. So get single file where you can. Use that slipstream to your advantage into those braking zones.
Yeah, most certainly. And one of the big storylines that we're following coming into this, well, that's going to be the cars starting off first and third here today. Gresham Wagner and Tyler Gonzalez, 2 of the early favorites that we've had circled in this series, but we haven't seen them go toe-to-toe thus far.
No, Tyler Gonzalez swept the rounds at Sonoma. Gresham Wagner won a race at Circuit of the Americas, but we haven't really seen them do that side-by-side battling we've expected. Will Rogers was up there at COTA, Gresham Wagner was up there at COTA, so was Gonzalez and Weisenberg, but they all haven't really had the opportunity to spar in the way that we've expected. I think today's that day.
I think it is as well, as drivers work their way under the bridge here at this point. Let's go ahead and run you through the starting grid. As we said, Gresham Wagner and Will Rogers going to be starting out in that first row, followed by Tyler Gonzalez and Luke Weisenberg behind them. Justin Piscatell starts off in P5 with Chuck Colbecker to his outside. Then it's Will Robusto and Jackson Bell in P8. Row 5 will be Mark Pombo and Neil Lovell in the 10th place position. Kyle?
Starting in row 6, Drake Kemper was very close to winning at Circuit of the Americas. Alex Garcia starts alongside him in 12th. Then it's 13th, Aiden Yoder in the 73. Stephen Clemens in the 76 rolls off 14th. Row 8, it's Michael Garcia in the number 7, and Kat Lauren in the 09 will start 16th place. Row number 9, it's going to be Tyler Wettingel in the number 80, and Paul Bocuse in the number 71 will start 18th place. And behind them, Spencer Schmidt in the number 37. He rolls off 19th alongside Adam Eisman, the Canadian, in the number 69.
In row 11, it's Taylor Gray, and flanking him will be Tommy McCarthy in the number 23 machine. 23rd place, though, will be Kanan O'Connell, and flanking him, Austin Dodge, a little bit of a farther back position than we'd expect for the driver of the number 31. Joey DeSilva for Smooth Racing lines up in 25th with Lev Aretsky to his outside there. As we move back into row 14, it's Derek Jones and a newcomer here into the series, Jack Woodfin. And then in the final row of the grid for today's race, it's Ruben Iglesias Jr. and Toby Breidinger to round out your 30-car field. Kyle, 30 cars around here. You got to keep it clean. Well, let's put 45 minutes up on the clock and let's get ready to go.
Down through Roller Coaster for the last time. We call it a roller coaster because you're falling down several stories here, DJ, but you got to keep it on the rails. Really easy to go off in this high velocity area. These GR86 Cup cars are ready to go. They've got a Sativ sequential transmission, 228 horsepower, Alcon brakes, and they're getting ready to do battle at VIR.
They certainly are, as the pace car pulls its way down into pit lane here, giving control of the field over to Gresham Wagner. Will Rogers doing a little bit of weaving and getting very close to Gresham as we get ready to go into the VP acceleration zone and get ready to go racing. There they go into the zone, and there goes the green. We have a race here at VIR. Great getaway for Gresham Wagner. Tyler Gonzalez already looking to try to fight on Will Rogers down into turn 1, as it looks like he's going to take away that second place position, but Rogers shuts the door. That's a good move coming up to the inside there for Justin Piscatell, trying to force Lucas Weisenberg off to the outside, but it looks like we're able to get the horseshoe nice and cleanly.
Weisenberg still got overlap here for the left-hander into NASCAR bend. Will Rogers holds off Gonzalez for second place for the time being. The 57 had right behind Gresham Wagner into turn 1, but he'll settle for third for now as a couple drivers drop tires in the dirt at the exit of NASCAR Bend.
A couple of drivers drop tires, but they're able to keep everything onto the black stuff for the most part here at this point as they go. A little bit of side-by-side. Weisberg, Piscatell absolutely duking it out coming up through the snake. You've got to be careful. That's one of the one-way streets that we talked about, but nobody told a couple of these drivers as they continue to go side-by-side through the S's.
A bit of hip and shoulder here on the opening lap, but now get yourself settled in the climb up through the S's over South Bend, where the track falls away from you down another story into the famous Oak Tree turn. So far, pretty orderly here through this high-speed section.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed here with what they've been doing, and that was stress. Oh, as we've got a big off there for Will Rogers coming through South Bend. He's going to be bounding over the grass, but somehow keeps it together. Tyler Gonzalez will be able to take advantage of that and move his way up into P2. Justin Piscatell not able to take advantage, but now as they work their way out of Oak Tree and on to Madison Avenue, here comes the draft.
Yeah, a little bit of Virginia clay on the tires of the number 6, pushed it too far over the crest at South Bend. Now up Madison Avenue. The straightaway is where you're going to fall in line, build that slipstream for a run here into Roller Coaster. Left or right doesn't seem to matter. If you can get the overlap, you can make a pass down here. Risky area, but high risk, high reward.
High risk, high reward as they now work their way into Roller Coaster. You can see those cars, Constantina up just a little bit as they go. Not seeing too many passes here up into the top 5 as everybody continues to remain pretty orderly here at this point. But I've got to imagine Will Rogers is definitely ruining his position here at this point, losing out on that second place. But as they come around to be able to finish their first lap, Rogers has plenty of time to try to make up on the back of Tyler Gonzalez.
Well, Gresham Wagner's going to be the rabbit here in this scenario as Gonzalez tries to run him down. We saw this at Circuit of the Americas, and it was a mechanical issue that kept Wagner from winning both races at Circuit of the Americas. Here's a look up the inside by Lucas Weisenberg on the number 28 of Piscatell into turn 1. Nice clean pass and gets right on the tailpipes of the number 6 of Rogers through the first corner.
Also looked like Will Robusto able to send a good move down to the inside there of Mark Pombo. That's going to be for 7th place position as Will Robusto, a super sub here this weekend, filling in for Isabella Robusto in that Smooth Racing number 8 machine. And so they're very happy to have Will into the paddock and proving himself to be a very good driver here today.
Yeah, so now I'm keeping my eye on Gonzalez here to see if he can run Wagner back down. He's 1.1 back, which is a bit outside of the slipstream area, but if he can just be on the attack here and eat some of that time away, use that draft to pull you back up to Wagner. But that's what everyone's doing right now, is getting comfortable, learning where the limits of those Continental tires are for the moment, but Gresham Wagner setting a pretty fervent pace here early. Yeah,
very, very quick indeed. Already building up a gap here of about 1.1 seconds, and Wagner needs to try to take advantage here. He's got 1 win to Gonzalez's 2 on the season, so he needs to try to grow that gap wherever possible as we continue to go into the second half of the season here at this point. Very close contention there. I believe that was Jackson Bell for Smooth Racing, another new name into the series here this weekend, fighting with Drake Kemper, almost pushing him through Oak Tree.
And Kemper was real close to winning at Circuit of the Americas. I mentioned it earlier, was leading when he came to the stripe in race 2 a couple of months ago, but had a penalty that knocked him down the order. So I think he's owed one, as now we watch a battle for second place. Here comes the number 6 of Will Rogers up the inside of the 57 of Gonzalez into Roller Coaster. Gets it woed down, but he's offline. Here comes Gonzalez back to the inside, side by side for a moment, and now single file again.
They're going to go single file, but the big beneficiary of all of that battling was Lucas Weisenberg there in that number 46 machine. As he continues to press ahead, he's been able to pull on and now inserts himself into that conversation for the podium positions here. And you can see Will Rogers certainly knows that he has got some pressure from behind, working all the way over the right-hand side of that track, trying to break that draft as much as possible and secure that defensive line down into turn 1.
Wow, big wiggle on the brakes for Gonzalez as he dodges the 6 of Will Rogers. And now these 3, while they fight amongst themselves, they're allowing Wagner to get away. So this is one of those moments, DJ, where you're fighting in the mirror, not out the windshield. And this is going to cost them some time if they want to have a shot at some prize money and a trophy. Here comes Spike Kohlbecker up the inside of Piscatell. That's the Tech Sport Racing teammate to the race leader.
Oh, Piscatell thought about a little bit of a look there going into left hook, but decided against it. Good moves there for Kohlbecker. Remember, your winner from the last round in Circuit of the Americas. He's going to be looking to carry on in good form here. Wants to try to gain in on his teammate Gresham Wagner there for Tech Sport Racing. Will Rogers there having to still play a little bit of defense coming out of the snake as it looks like Tyler Gonzalez is just very eager to try to get on by him.
Yeah, and Rogers, he is playing defense right now, but they say that the best defense is a good offense, and that's what Wagner's doing at the moment. A little bit deeper in the field here is Garcia, Clemens, and some more in a pack here heading up towards South Bend. The 7, the 76, all in a line, and this is, whoa, slide off course to 6 of Rogers once again.
Oh, and Rogers here just having a little bit of a scruffy day. There's no doubting that that number 6 has plenty of pace here, but that's the second time we've seen him set a tire wrong. And I'll tell you what, look at that Tyler Gonzalez weaving down Madison Avenue here, back and forth, trying to break that draft as much as possible. And Lucas Weisenberg starting to close in, but we're going to check in here right now. This is, I believe, Michael Garcia in the number 7, Stephen Clemens right behind him, trying to close in. Is he going to be able to send a move into roller coaster?
Here comes Clemens in the pink and black car to the inside here. Track kinks to the left and then back to the right, so to open the door for Garcia. Clemens, though, with an excellent pass on driver's left, and now he'll lead the train down roller coaster.
He'll lead the train down there. Always a very distinguishable car there for Steven. That bright pink, you can see it a mile away, and a good move there for Clemens to move his way up in the order, as he's going to continue to try to gain those positions there. We've got a car coming down into pit lane. I believe that could be falling down through the order. My goodness, who is that?
Whoa, for second place, here comes Weisenberg around the outside of Gonzalez into turn 1, door to door, as Wagner continues to keep them in the rear view. They're banging fenders as they head through Horseshoe, and Rogers is right back in the mix.
Rogers right back into the mix. By the way, that car coming down into pit lane was Aiden Yoder. Now here comes Rogers. He's going to muscle his way on by Tyler Gonzalez, but Gonzalez says not so quick, as we've got a car off and into the grass. That's the 37 of Spencer Schmidt out of Horseshoe.
Yeah, Precision Racing LA's number 37, and drifts the car back on course there. Some more Virginia clay covering the Continental tires as he rolls away. Battle for second was fierce down into turn 1, and didn't exactly see what started that incident, but just off course. It's easy to do at the end of such a long straightaway. They've got Bosch Motorsport ABS DJ, but if you get it wrong, we talked about the consequences here. No pavement runoff like you had at COTA last month.
No, none at all. And that looked like a little bit of side-by-side there with Tommy McCarthy as they went down into the corner. But we check back in again on this battle up for what is now P4. Will Rogers starting to hold off a little bit, looking like a cork in the bottom. But look at this from behind. Here comes Drake Kemper trying to make a move on Mark Pombo going down into Oak Tree. But that's going to open up a door for the 66. Jackson Bell making a good move out of the corner.
That's an impressive debut for this driver, the number 66. Jackson Bell hopping right in and looking like a pro immediately. Right in the middle of the fire in this battle inside the top 10. But all of this is happening behind Gresham Wagner, and all of it in the rearview mirror. So Wagner just gets to drive away while the rest of the group does all the battling.
Yeah, certainly does. And it now looks like we may have Weisenberg starting to break away from this field a little bit more, starting to close in as they go. So that's going to change things up a little bit. Meanwhile, Will Rogers really having to drive in his rearview mirror at this point, as it's not only Spike Kohlbecker, but Tyler Gonzalez, Justin Piscatel, Will Robusto, a train starting to form here behind that number 6 machine.
Rogers has had the pace all week long, but just a little ragged in the opening moments of this race. And with how good and how close the field is, those mistakes are going to cost you a lot. And it's dropped him not necessarily in positions, but in time to the front 2 as they continue to battle for third place. And behind Spike Kohlbecker looking aggressive into turn 1, late on the brakes to the first corner.
A little bit of a pinch there given by the Godwin Motorsports driver of Will Rogers. They are going to keep it clean, though. Good respect given among the two as they come down now into NASCAR Bend. Rogers on the preferred line, but trying to carry more speed is Spike Kohlbecker. He's going to have to give up the ghost there a little bit. Gonzalez, we've seen him be aggressive down into left hook. He's going to do it again. Goes for it into the corner. Somehow manages to stay alongside, but Kohlbecker able to defend.
That was an optimistic dive there, but he almost made it stick, and Spike Kohlbecker saw it coming, left some space for him. They get single filed back again, but it is fierce and hip and shoulder here for those top 5 spots as they continue to battle not only for points and trophies, but for cash prizes as well here in Toyota GR Cup North America.
Yeah, most certainly, as there is plenty of money on the line here for all of these drivers, and they know it, and that is just how they continue to fight here at this point. Up through South Bend, this train yet again. Now it looks a little bit like Spike Kohlbecker is the cork in the bottle, as all that battling with Tyler Gonzalez has allowed for Will Rogers to grow a gap here of just a few tenths of a second. They they now work their way out of Oak Tree. That's Kohlbecker going a little bit wide there out of the corner. Could that potentially set him up for a little bit of a bad run? Tyler Gonzalez certainly thinks so. As you can see, that long train of cars just following in each other's tire tracks here at this point, ready to head down into Roller Coaster. Doesn't quite look close enough to do it, but maybe there's going to be a move in the back here. Will Robusto thinking about a move on Justin Piscatell going down into Roller Coaster, but Piscatell shuts the door.
All this happening behind the front two, those that are towing the train. Lucas Weisenberg last time by a 10th quicker than our leader, Gresham Wagner, and that's without the draft. That's too far back to get the advantage of the tow. So can Weisenberg run down a driver that we expected to be up front every single event? That number 46, he's impressive every weekend.
Yeah, he really and truly is, and you and I had the chance to sit down and chat with him a little bit. Just a very, very heads-up driver, got a good head on his shoulders and definitely is going places. We look back now to the battle at 11th place here. This is Mia Lovell holding off Stephen Clemens at the moment. Mia, who has had the distinction of the last couple of races being the highest placed female driver in the field, and obviously Toyota, that is a focus for them. They give out an award for the highest placed female driver in the field, and as we said, Mia able to take that the last 2 times. Now here comes Will Robusto down into the inside once again of Piscatell. Little bit of elbows out there. Piscatell takes a trip through the dirt, and Will Robusto holds on to the position.
And Mark Pombo was off at NASCAR Bend behind them as well. Dropped all 4 tires in the dirt. And there is a little extra runoff room there, but they use it, and that's the edge of the racetrack. So when they step over that boundary, too, they find themselves kicking up quite the cloud. Now through Snake and into the climbing S's once again. You mentioned Mia Lovell. She's got her hands full right now with BSI Racing Stephen Clemens. You mentioned the pink car, easy to spot. Well, he is definitely filling the rearview mirror of the number 68 Smooth Racing car.
Well, and that's kind of one of those advantages of having those brightly liveried cars is you become a little bit more of a distraction in the rearview mirror. One of the traditional, more liveried cars, that's Jackson Bell coming up behind Mark Pombo here at the moment. Bell going to take a little bit of an unorthodox look down into the inside of Oak Tree. He's got it done. The Smooth Racing driver with the move of the race thus far.
Kicked up the rear end on corner exit as well. The 10 of Pombo just didn't look comfortable. After he dropped those tires, might still have some of that clay on him. And as he came over South Bend, wiggled a little bit, and that opened the door for the number 66 of Jackson Bell to get that move done. But can he rebound here on the slipstream up the back straightaway? It's a long, long run for these GR86 Cup cars.
He very well might be. That gap is about a car length, call it less than a car length as they get onto the binders going down. Ooh, a little bit of how you doing there?
Whoa, definitely a lot of front-rear contact here. Jackson Bell had his hands full of steering wheel as they came down the hill. Had a little help into Roller Coaster as Mark Pombo gave him about all he could handle. Now Bell wiggling and wobbling through hog pen there. All the while, that gap to the leaders is closing. Weisenberg has the fastest lap, and it's coming down quick.
It's coming down very quickly. As you said, Weisenberg holding on to the crowd strike. Fastest lap of the race here thus far. But we still have about 30 minutes left to go in this race. Checking back in on that battle, Mia Lovell continues to hold off Stephen Clemens. Let's call that gap about 4 car lengths or so as they dive down into the corner. Looks about 0.3 of a second as they went through. We've got a couple of drivers there falling down through the order, unfortunately. That's the number 80 machine. That's Tyler Wettengel, who is going to be diving down into pit lane. That looks to be a problem with that left front tire.
Yeah, cut down left front Continental there, and might have been some contact. I see some wrinkling of the bodywork, so he might have had it coming together with somebody else on course. As we go back to the battle with Mia Lovell and Stephen Clemens. This is a battle for 11th place. It continues to be. The rest of the leaders have strung themselves out, and now you're in this portion of the race where you're just clicking away laps, getting into a rhythm that you couldn't do earlier because you had everyone else messing it up.
Well, and this rhythm section is so very important, especially around a place like Virginia International Raceway. As you were telling me a little bit earlier, Kyle, so much of this circuit in these GR86 Cup cars is spent on throttle that you really have to feel out the car. That's a little bit of a wide run there for Will Robusto, but he's able to gather it back up under him. That was a little bit of a scary moment.
He was leaning as much on those front Continentals as the car would allow. It was slipping all over the circuit, and the run into Oak Tree has been a problematic area all weekend long for these cars. Saw a couple off in qualifying there as well. So there's always a challenge when you're slowing the car down from well north of 100 miles an hour. You're leaning on that Bosch ABS and the Continental slick tires, but that line is so thin when you step over it, it's just hard to hang on to.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to hang on to, and that really shows you the talent there of that number 8 driver for Smooth Racing. Will Robusto again subbing in this weekend for Isabella Robusto, so very, very good run, but a little bit over the line there through through Hogpen, got those right side tires off and into the dirt. Dare I say here at this point, that number 8 is pushing like nobody's business.
Wow, the gap again for the leaders. I continue to watch this battle because Weisenberg is just taking chunks out of Wagner's advantage. So while we're watching these other battles, let's just make sure that we keep our eyes on the gap at the top of the scoring pylon as Piscatel works over Will Robusto here through Horseshoe.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of a look. Looking at that crossover move going down into the corner, we've seen that have some efficacy over the course of the weekend. He's not able to get it done here at this point. Interesting to see how they came into that corner. A little bit more of a narrow line there for Justin Piscatel, and I dare say lost him just a little bit of time as he brought through there.
And here comes the 80, finally making it to the pit box with that Continental tire. Actually, the whole left front suspension, I think, might look a little bit damaged. It wasn't just the tire, it appeared, DJ.
And from what I could tell off of that picture, it did look like he was actually pulling it down into the garage area. So unfortunately, I think that is day done for the Nitro Motorsports driver, Tyler Wettingel. Here we have on our screen, though, Cat Lauren holding up a good little battle here. Ooh, big kick up of dirt in front. But Cat Lauren, another big kick up of dirt. My goodness, through the snake. They are absolutely going to be doing a lawn mowing service there before things are said and done. And Cat Lauren trying to close up ahead in 23rd position of the drivers in front, holding off. It looks like they're an attack from Levoretsky.
There's another battle brewing here, the numbers 69 and 67. Those are both, one's the open road racing car, Adam Eisman, the other, Joey De Silva, in a battle here, heading down past South Bend into Oak Tree. And there's that lead battle closing evermore. And for third, Will Rogers and Spike Kohlbecker, they have traded spots, moved Kohlbecker up a spot. Or excuse me, this is Rogers back a couple positions into P5 now, actually, as Gonzalez splits the difference.
Yeah, Rogers has fallen down through the order there. Dare I say, may have put another tire wrong, as we've seen him kind of be one to do over the course of this running. But when you are on the limit like this, Kyle, it's not altogether surprising that you see drivers doing that. It's really a testament to the strength of this field that we don't see more of those drivers just putting one tire wrong.
And the aggression level, if you see someone make a mistake, you sense it and you're going to go for it. As a defensive line from Kohlbecker into turn 1 and around the outside, Gonzalez has tried this before. He's going to try the crossover here into Horseshoe, but where do you go? No space left to jam that number 57 up the inside is the 6 of Rogers, now just spectating from P5.
Yeah, and this may play into Rogers' hands a little bit. I've got to think maybe cool the tires down a little bit, back off, kind of calm your thoughts a little bit, and then launch a big attack here near the end of the race. See if you can't get some good attack there going by the end.
Well, I think the alarm is going off because the battle that was brewing for the lead is now within 0.6 of a second. That's drafting distance of those front two. While the 3 fight for third behind them, the last step on the podium, those front 2 continue to close. There's Wagner over Weisenberg, and we're going to get a fight on our hands here shortly.
Yeah, we certainly are, as Lucas Weisenberg there in that number 46 machine closing in. And they are, as you saw them crest over South Bend, the car's starting to lose a little bit of grip there on the rear end. Here they come down through the corners right now. We check back in on the battle for P3 as well, as all 3 of those cars seeming to do a drift down through Oak Tree.
Lots of counter steer down there, and again, these cars have a little bit of aero, but at such slow speeds, you're relying almost entirely on mechanical grip. And when it goes away, thankfully, the GR86 is so comfortable in a slide, and you can control that very easily. You just can't let it get away from you. And you have to be pointed straight by the time you leave the corner, not to arrest your momentum for the long back straightaway as the 57 and the 6 Duke and dive all over the place, heading down into roller coaster again.
And I couldn't tell there from Tyler Gonzalez in the number 57 gear wrench machine. Oh, is that a mistake from Spike Kohlbecker? And here comes Gonzalez. Too wide down the hill. Gonzalez puts a toe off into the grass, somehow able to keep it together. Maybe a little bit of front to rear contact with Will Rogers in the back. And Spike Kohlbecker, the big loser out of all of that, is Tyler Gonzalez able to move his way up, as is Will Rogers.
Well, the tiniest mistake, and the freight train steamrolls on by. The 57 now promotes himself up into 3rd position. Will Rogers giving him the shove of a lifetime down the long front straightaway here at VIR. The 57 stays defensive. The 6 goes left. The 55 looks up the inside for fourth place. This is an epic brawl for third place.
This is absolutely fantastic stuff here. Rogers thought about trying to go around the outside, couldn't get that done. Thought about maybe going for the crossover, couldn't get that done. Now they work their way into NASCAR Bend. Not going to see too much of a move here. Gonzalez has been the one to really pioneer the move going into left hook. And there you're going to see him get squirrely on the exit, defend it there as they come around as Rogers continues to apply pressure.
This is great stuff. And while all of this is happening, just behind them out of shot, Will Robusto is closing in. Could this battle for third become a four-horse race for third place?
It certainly could, and let's not count out Spike Kohlbecker there, or Justin Piscatell or Jackson Bell, who are not too far behind Will Robusto, but we've got to close in on the battle for the lead as well because Gresham Wagner and Lucas Weisenberg are nearly on top of each other.
This is brewing both for the lead and for third place. 24 minutes to go. We're only 20 minutes in. We've still got tons of racing left to do, and Wagner, who we thought was going to be unbeatable today after the start he had, he is showing the chinks in the armor here, and the 57 and 6 make contact at Oak Tree.
Lucky that wasn't worse there, just a little bit of a slide for Tyler Gonzalez, but crucially that's going to arrest his momentum coming around the corner and undoubtedly slow him down Madison Avenue. Will Rogers be able to capitalize here? He's going to poke his nose now to the inside. Nope, going to get a little bit more draft before he goes for it. Now he's going to make the move to driver's left. Here they come side by side. Rogers to the inside, Gonzalez to the outside. There's maybe a little bit of contact as they go. Gonzalez later on the binders. Talk about a defense.
Now Kohlbecker still watching all of this out the windshield. Where do you go? Because you see those orange cars approaching from the background. Robusto, Piscatell, and Jackson Bell all closing in the rearview mirror. So does that increase the pressure for Kohlbecker to get back by? But where do you go? Where do you run? You can't hide here at VIR.
No, you certainly cannot, as this just continues to be closer and closer and closer. Third all the way back as we've got a potential move for the lead here. Lucas Weisenberg thought about going to the outside of turn one on Gresham Wagner. That's not going to play out, and now Weisenberg has to fall in line here again. Just keep applying pressure to the back of that Tech Sport Racing number 5.
This is where patience is a virtue. Gresham Wagner is certainly no rookie to racing in cars like this. Weisenberg, a young driver that has to make sure he plans his moves carefully. These three, however, are absolutely throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this battle for third. Rogers grabs third place back. Gonzalez slots the difference. Kohlbecker now has Robusto right behind.
Yeah, welcome to the battle here. Will Robusto and Justin Piscatell and Jackson Bell. It is now a 6-car battle for P3, but it is a 2-car battle up here at the front with these two white machines as they go. But here comes a little bit of a look from Tyler Gonzalez through the climbing S's. It's not going to play itself out. Good patience there. We've said that's an area of the track you do not want to try to go too wide through, but maybe here's Lucas Weisenberg thinking about a little bit of something through Oak Tree. That's a better line for Wagner as they go. Here comes a big move in the back from Jackson Bell.
Around the outside in Oak Tree. If he can make this stick, that would be unbelievable. The 6 is wide. Rogers out wide at Oak Tree, and through comes Spike Kohlbecker trying to grab a position away. All the positions like a revolving door in the bottom half of the top 5.
Yeah, Kohlbecker able to take that 4th place position away from Will Rogers here as they go. That's going to give a little bit of breathing room to Tyler Gonzalez, but there's no breathing room to be had for Gresham Wagner as he dives down into roller coaster. Less than a car length separating himself and Lucas Weisenberg. Weisenberg not going for the move here yet, but again, pressure continuing to be applied.
Yeah, he ran Wagner down. I think he has to know he's got pace on the 5 of Gresham Wagner, so he can afford to be a little patient. I love the colors of this car, the TRD colors on the side of this number 46, and now is he just toying with Wagner potentially, waiting this one out? The only points paying happens on the final lap. We have 21 minutes to go.
Well, I think there could be a little bit of consideration here that he doesn't want to try to get a move done too early and maybe risk getting caught back up in the draft, so Lucas could just be waiting a little bit.
Ooh, maybe not. Yep. Give him a shot down there at Horseshoe. Little front to rear contact there. That's just a hello, how you doing? Ring the doorbell and knock on it here as they head through Horseshoe into NASCAR Bend. Pretty good gap, though, back to third, so they can afford to scrap a little bit and not give up all that time to this great scrap for third place. They've been throwing everything at the wall.
Spike Kohlbecker was side by by side with Tyler Gonzalez coming down through turn 1. Little flash of the headlights. Now it looks like Will Rogers has a little bit more momentum coming into left hook. That's not going to play. And that is Cole Becker being very aggressive with those curbs, just trying to absolutely launch that car and get as much of an advantage as they can. And to your point here, Kyle, as they kick up dirt coming through the snake, about 7.5, 8 seconds worth of gap between Lucas Weisenberg and Tyler Gonzalez. So Lucas has got the patience and he's got the time to wait.
You almost wonder if you could pick names out of a hat and save their energy at this point. It's just been, I mean, I don't know who's dominant in that group. It seems like everybody has had a shot at running on that last step on the podium. But the first 2 spots on the podium still yet to be decided. Wagner for Tech Sport in the 46 with Lucas racing through Oak Tree. Some lap traffic on the horizon, but for now, it's just 2 drivers, 1v1.
And crucial here, we're seeing a message from Race Control warning to the number 57 machine. That's Tyler Gonzalez blocking on the previous lap. So Race Control not wanting to get too far into it. Oh, we've got a car off and into the dirt. I believe that's one of the VGRT entries there. I can't get an ID on exactly which number it is, but that's going to be coming up through Snake. Some pretty hefty damage there to him.
Yeah, and that looked like he took out one of the sponsor boards there as well. And he has been in the barriers, I believe, based on what I can see. It's the 44 car of Derek Jones for PJM VGRT, and see all the smoke and debris around the racetrack. So he has had an issue. Here's a, wow, just jumped the curb there, DJ, on the replay.
Yeah, looked like that car got into a little bit of a tank slapper there coming through the right-handed part of the snake. And then, as you said, jumped the curb. And at that point, absolutely no grip to be had. Smacked that wall very hard. Thankfully, both for Derek and for everybody else on the track, it did look like he was able to pull off down into one of the retaining areas at the moment. We focus back in on the battle for the lead. Gresham Wagner continues to lead over Lucas Weisenberg as here they go, coming on a little bit of lap traffic. How is that going to factor into this battle?
Well, you hope it doesn't, but it's just a matter of life. And when you're racing, you're going to get held up at some point. Gresham Wagner has to pick his spot carefully. There's also some consideration to, do I maybe back off a little bit in a place that Weisenberg can't make a pass, just so I can time my run to the lap traffic a bit better. There's only one car that I see, and it'll probably make it easy for them to go on by, but you can never count out using that driver as a pick if you're Lucas Weisenberg.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that's going to start to factor into the equation here. Now, I think for Gresham Wagner, he's going to be hoping to make this as straightforward of a pass as possible, going down potentially Madison Avenue, that long back straightaway, if he can do it, and that's going to help him a little bit. Looked like Lucas Weisenberg lost a little bit of the rear there coming over South Bend. That's going to grow the gap by about a car length. Big slide there for Gresham Wagner, and he'll lose the lead.
Just like that, slipped up and off course. Gresham Wagner into the dirt at Oak Tree and back to second place, and that's all it takes to lose the lead here in Toyota GR Cup North America. Wagner has led every lap so far, but Weisenberg will take the lead away. Here's a look at it, DJ, and just had too much speed, had counter steer, but just couldn't save it.
Yeah, just a little bit too greedy coming into Oak Tree, and the car just didn't want to comply there, lost the rear a little bit as he went on through. Lucky he was able to hold it back up underneath him. That lap car we were worried about, by the way, doing the sportsmanship thing. They are getting out of the way, so these leaders are going to be able to continue on their merry way.
Okay, roles reversed. Now, can Wagner run Weisenberg back down? Sometimes being the driver that's pressuring, you're better off than being the driver that's pressured and having all the action in the rearview mirror. So Weisenberg takes the lead away in the Lucas Racing 46 Toyota GR Cup car, but Wagner runs second. Still about 8 seconds back to that battle for third, which seems to have fizzled, at least for now, but those ambers could glow once again as we get closer to the end of this race.
Yeah, only about 17 minutes left to go here in this race. By the way, that lap car was Ruben Iglesias Jr. that they were able to get on by. Here comes a little bit of a move from Site Cole Becker. Maybe a little bit of a thought of defense there from Tyler Gonzalez going down into turn 1.
So that's the challenge, is we saw the warning for blocking down there. You can go defensive, but you have to do it before the car behind you looks to overtake. If you do that move in reaction to the trailing car, that's what's considered a block. Fine line in some places, but the 57's got the spot now, and all he's got to do is try to drive away as Spike Kohlbecker gets his rear tires picked up off the ground by Rogers into left hook.
Yeah, Rogers very aggressive once again, trying to see if he is going to be able to intimidate a little bit of Spike Kohlbecker. Again, so much dirt getting kicked up there, going through the left-hander of the Snake. And I've got to say here, if I'm Will Rogers, I've got to be a little bit concerned. Will Robusto has been devilishly quick this entire weekend, and he's going to start filling up that rearview mirror more than he already is.
Well, Jackson Bell, Robusto, and Justin Piscatell have been waiting very patiently for their turn to be on the podium. But with 16 minutes to go, that patience is going to run out as they see these three scrapping ahead of them. The opportunity to win some prize money and walk away with a trophy in race one, that's very real.
Yeah, very real indeed. You mentioned Jackson Bell there in the number 66 as he got a pretty good run there through Oak Tree, going to try to carry some speed around, maybe get a little bit of a draft here on his Smooge Racing teammate of Will Robusto. Robusto, though, I think is the one in the best position here as he comes up behind Will Rogers at the moment. That's about a gap of a car length as they work their way down Madison Avenue. Getting ready to dive into the braking zone here for Roller Coaster. It's Gonzalez, Kohlbecker, Rogers, and Robusto there. They'll stay in single file order as they funnel their way down the hill.
One of the things that struck me when I visited this racetrack for the first time earlier this weekend was how much elevation there is and how much that challenges the drivers with the dynamics of a big wiggle from the number 6. Rogers is all over the place. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Every time you drop, the car gets light. Every time you rise over a crest, you're fighting for control. And Robusto and Rogers now doing a door-to-door fight down the front straightaway, mirror to mirror, wheel to wheel into turn number 1.
It's going to be Robusto in the orange and white machine down on the inside, gets later on the binders. Rogers tries to shut the door. Jackson Bell tries to feed his way on through as well. Pieces a little bit flying off of the race car there at that point, as now Rogers has got to play double defense. He's going to be able to hold the line there over Jackson Bell, and Justin Piscatell, who was starting to fall off the back of this fight a little bit, now is right back up into the equation.
And at least for the moment, Gonzalez and Kohlbecker have built a small gap back to Robusto. It's about 3-4 car lengths. We've seen that close up pretty quickly, though, so it's not comfortable by any stretch of the imagination. Well, Weisenberg and Wagner, though, they're long gone, so this battle will remain for third for probably the rest of the race, unless some more dramas happen up front. That's always a possibility.
Very much is. 9.5 seconds, call it 9.6 seconds, the gap right now between Gresham Wagner and Tyler Gonzalez. By the way, we have been keeping our eyes on that fight. Lucas Weisenberg and Gresham Wagner separated by about 0.8 of a second, so we'll keep it there. But this is the real battle to watch right now as Will Rogers wants that position back from Will Robusto. Robusto looking a little bit squirrely coming down into Oak Tree, but he's going to be able to gather things back up underneath him, and they fly down Madison Avenue once more. Here they go, and there goes Robusto once again, weaving a little bit, trying to break that draft.
Another handful of counter steer for the 6 of Will Rogers into Oak Tree, and it's just been a low grip area all day long, and the drivers, as you mentioned, maybe getting greedy, but one of the other things to factor in is the downforce level. These cars generate a little bit. They've got a rear wing on the car that helps them stick to the road, but that isn't very effective at some of the slower corners like Oak Tree. So as the downforce lifts the car up off the ground, when you slow up, you're left with just the grip from the Continental tires and a dirty racetrack from all the action over there. That's been a big challenge for drivers all race long.
Yeah, it certainly is. As we check back in on your leader of the race here at this point, Lucas Weisenberg in that white and TRD traditional liveried number 46 machine leading the way. Going to hold that gap at about 0.8 of a second between himself and Gresham Wagner right now. And they're sort of a visual representation of that gap, looking a little bit farther back for that battle for third place. Will Rogers not able to get the move there on his fellow Will of Will Robusto in that orange and white machine as they work their way through Horseshoe right now, all just snaking behind Tyler Gonzalez, who is holding on to third place for the moment.
My eyes are squarely on that JBL number 8. Will Robusto started fighting in this battle at the back of this group and has slowly and methodically worked his way forward, now into 5th place. The podium definitely on the horizon as we jump back a little bit deeper in the field to the number 67. Joey De Silva behind the wheel of that, and just behind into turn number 1. That's the 19th place car at the moment. That's Adam Eisman behind the wheel.
Yeah, Canadian Adam Eisman trying to make this move here on another one of the Smooge Racing drivers. One of the biggest paddocks here in the whole competition here as they go. Kat Laura, and also in that battle with Lev Oretsky, we followed that a little bit earlier on. This is the battle for P20 here at this point. Kat, who obviously had that fantastic qualifying performance last time out in COTA, got to talk to her a little bit more. She's been doing a little bit of rally racing, as it were, a little bit of off-road racing out through Bakersfield in that area.
Yeah, and she had a good qualifying effort here this morning as well, 16th place, but the race pace hasn't quite followed up. So we'll see how tomorrow goes, but P20 for now. Up in front, though, looks like Gresham Wagner has begun to reel in Weisenberg just a bit more. 11 minutes to go. Could we get part 2 of this GR86 Cup battle here down the hill?
Well, we very well could. It was only about a car length as they came down through roller coaster, trying to see if he's going to be able to hold that number 5 machine close enough behind as they now get on the loud pedal out of Hog Pen right now. Let's see what the gap is as they cross over the line. It looks to be about 2 car lengths or so, call it 3 or 4, as they accelerate here past the start-finish line. And it looks like there that it's down to about 4/10 of a second, so Gresham certainly starting to put the screws here to Lucas Weisenberg.
Yeah, and Wagner's in the catbird seat here, as we like to say, and has lots of experience in this kind of car. Ran a similar chassis in another touring car series last season, so certainly no stranger to one-make competition either. This is all the experience that Wagner has and this Tech Sport Racing team has behind a new entrant, a new driver into Tin Top competition, that being Lucas Weisenberg, as the 46 expertly dodges the curbing through Snake and heads up towards the climbing S's with 10 minutes to go. It's experience versus the new guy on the block here, DJ. Let's see which one prevails.
Well, let's see indeed. Remember, one of the things that we talked to Gresham about at Circuit the Americas was a little bit of overheating of those Continental tires, and I'm wondering here if Gresham kind of took a couple of laps here, got some coolness back into those tires, got them back into that operating window, and now it's time to go back into full attack mode.
Yeah, a similar thing with what we saw with Will Rogers in the 6. If you push the tires a bit too far, you can get them overheated and greasy, and if you can cool that tire temperature back down and collect yourself, then you can go back to doing business there and battling for the top spot. Back to the 3rd place fight. Tyler Gonzalez has it, but Kohlbecker now, maybe the cork in the bottle here with the 6 of Will Rogers, Jackson Bell, Justin Piscatel, and of course the 99 of Drake Kemper a little bit further behind as well. But as we head up the back straightaway, Madison Avenue here, Piscatel is the last driver in this fight, 8th place.
Yeah, Piscatel holding on to the back of the train here at this moment. Will Rogers almost looking like he was giving Spike Kohlbecker a little bit of a push there through Oak Tree. They were that close on one another. The gap now for 4th place, only about a car length as Rogers is going to poke his nose to the inside. Going up into roller coaster, decides to back off a little bit. Let's check back in on the battle for the lead. Lucas Weisenberg looking for his first win of the season here at this point for Lucas Racing. Gresham Wagner closing in behind. Who's it going to be in the final 9 minutes?
We've had 4 races so far and 3 different winners. The only driver that has gone to victory lane twice was the number 57 of Tyler Gonzalez back at Sonoma. I'm sure Wagner would love to add his name to that list. We talked to him after Circuit of the Americas race 1 when he won that race, and he said that the 57's the favorite as he deals with the battle in the rearview mirror between the 6 and the 8. They're trade positions into turn 1.
Yeah, they're going to trade positions around a little bit there. Will Robusto trying to be able to gain his way up. I can also tell you that Mark Pombo was able to get a move done there on Drake Kemper for 9th place, as it did look like there that even though Robusto wanted to be able to get that move done on Rogers, Rogers still with a cagey defense, being able to put everything off to the side there and hold that out as they run. So they now work their way down out of left hook and into the Snake here as they move.
I've almost wondered if this is freeing for the drivers in that battle for 3rd, because the leaders are so far gone that they no longer have to worry about the co-opetition, working together to run each other down and make passes for the lead. They can just focus on the battle for 3rd at the moment because the lead's so far gone. So Gonzalez now is the rabbit to chase, and Kohlbecker, Rogers, Robusto, and Bell and Piscatel are still engaged in that battle for position.
Yeah, this is very much the battle for best of the rest here as Lucas Weisenberg and Gresham Wagner, despite the battling that they've had, still 10 seconds up the road from this. Kyle, you're making faces there as they're coming up through South Bend.
Jackson Bell used every available inch of pavement over South Bend, had the tire hanging over the edge of the road, really over the ruts in the surface beyond the curbing. That was about as close as you can get to the edge of the racetrack without stepping over the boundary. Just a phenomenal debut for that young driver.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff here for them. And two really impressive debuts. I'll give credit here to Jackson Bell and to Will Robusto. Both of them have been incredibly impressive on debut here at Virginia International Raceway.
And I think for both of them, weren't expecting to be here either. Pretty late adds to the entry list, so doing a great job, all things considered. 6 minutes and 50 seconds remaining, and Gresham Wagner now, you have to wonder, is he doing what Weisenberg was doing earlier, just waiting for the right opportunity to make a pass?
Well, he certainly could be. About 4 car lengths the gap as they cross over the start-finish line, and Gresham moving out to the outside line, maybe a hair before he needed to, maybe just trying to fill that rear view mirror a little bit of Lucas Weisenberg to see if he's able to get anything to play. Weisenberg just racing his own line here. I'm not seeing defensive moves out of Weisenberg. He's just trying to run as quick as possible.
Big slide for the race leader through NASCAR Bend. We heard the Continental Tire screaming for grip. That brings Wagner right to the rear bumper here. Is that a distraction for Weisenberg to be chasing that car through a technical section? Battle's on, and it's 1v1. There's nobody else around. One man versus the other at this stage.
Yeah, exactly. As here they come up into the climbing S's at this point. Let's call that gap about a car length and a half as they now work their way through the left-hander, now to the right. One of the most dynamic places on the track. Gap reducing down to about a single car length here as they come up into South Bend. Gresham thought about a little bit of a look there to the inside. Big wiggle out of Lucas Weisenberg. They keep everything together. Is Gresham setting up here for a move down Madison Avenue?
How much will Weisenberg play defense here? Wagner a little off apex at Oak Tree. I think he carried a bit too much speed and got a little greedy like we saw earlier. But he still has the 46 in sight and enough time to get the job done. It's all about planning that next chess move, and when are you going to make the move?
Yeah, exactly. As there they go down Madison Avenue, down the long back straightaway here at this point, and that gap really is expanding here as they run. And that's what's really crucial here as we talk about this, Kyle. Oh, that was a big kick up of dirt.
Yeah, it looked like Wagner got pretty aggressive on the left side of the track. There's a curb there as you crest the hill, and the drivers have dug out a rut right before that curb starts, and it looked like he hit the blunt end of that curb with the left front tire. And you can cut a tire down doing that if you get greedy with the track limits there, but Gresham lost some time with that little slip.
Well, and now as they're going to cross over the line here with about 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in this race, I believe that's going to be about 3 laps to go. So Gresham can't be, he can't afford any more mistakes like that. He has got to be absolutely picture perfect as he finishes out this race.
And that's assuming that Weisenberg is able to do the same. How much pressure must he be feeling behind the wheel right now? Kohlbecker, big dive to the inside of Gonzalez, who takes a late defense, and Rogers try to get to the inside of both of them, and instead of to the inside, he'll give him a front to rear shove through Horseshoe.
Yeah, he will. Good to be able to, for Spike Kohlbecker to be able to hold on to that, and now he's going to be able to slide in front of Will Rogers. Rogers, though, looking for the crossover, coming down into NASCAR Bend. He's right on the left side of the car, but not able to get it done, and now Will Robusto going to go for the move down into the corner.
Oh, he caught him sleeping, just threw that number 8 down the inside. Rogers now gets the elbows out on corner exit, and Jackson Bell, where do you go? As the 6 slams the curb, and was there some damage to that right front? Took a huge hop, and I'm not sure if it broke something or if he just went for a wild ride, but the 6 definitely dropping a few spots.
Yeah, 6 definitely dropping a few spots there, as now it's going to be, as you said, Jackson Bell trying to take advantage side by side up through the rising S's. I don't know how this is going to be able to hold together. Now Piscatell wants to try to make this work through South Bend, and Justin Piscatell, I think, discretion proving the better part of Fowler, backing off there, but now he's going to have a look coming down into Oak Tree.
Jackson Bell did a phenomenal job there. I know he lost some spots, DJ, but he kept the car on the road, and that was incredibly challenging. One of the highest speed sections, speeds climbing north of 115, 120 miles an hour in the tightest, fastest, most just the hardest section of racetrack to run on, and they almost came together. But with 2.5 minutes left to go, DJ, a final warning given to blocking for the number 57. That defense happening too late into 1.
And that defense happening too late into 1. He's going to have to watch out for that, and that final warning means if he does it one more time, that will be a penalty. have seen race control give out some pretty strict penalties here. They are not messing around when it comes to clean, fair racing. But coming across the line right now is your leader, Lucas Weisenberg. He's got a gap here of a couple of tenths of a second as he crosses over, make that 6/10 over Gresham Wagner. And with 2 laps to go, he has just got to try to defend here for a little bit longer.
Yeah, clock is ticking for Wagner to get the move done. Tyler Gonzalez, with that scrap last time up through the S's, has put some distance between himself and Spike Kohlbecker. But that will leave Kohlbecker in front of Robusto. Is now a battle into turn 1 between Piscatell and Jackson Bell, going back at it again. They're not done fighting.
No, none of these drivers are done fighting here at this point, although it does look like Tyler Gonzalez has been able to gap a little bit over Spike Kohlbecker. It's going to buy him just a little bit of breathing room here at this point. So that gap looked like it was about 1 second as they crossed over the start-finish line, so good running there for him. Now they work their way out of left hook, coming through the snake. This is the widest we've seen this little clump of cars be in a good long while.
Yeah, and I think everyone in this group is going to get one last shot at making a pass, and where it is and how aggressive you are with going for that pass, that's really up to the driver and the experience level they have. We've seen gaps come down from 5 car lengths to nothing in the length of the straightaways here. Speaking of, Gresham Wagner closing back in on the race leader, Lucas Weisenberg. And you see him running wider to set up that run onto the backstretch, DJ. He's entering kind of left and tucking in very late, and it's working for him. He's tracking down that 46.
Yeah, he certainly is. And just trying to take that later apex again, as we mentioned a few times, it's all about momentum. And look at the momentum here from Gresham Wagner coming down Madison Avenue. He's going to have a little bit of a poke to the right-hand side of the track as they get ready to go into the braking zone. Wagner and Weisenberg side by side coming down into roller coaster. Who's going to be able to have it? Wagner's got a nose ahead, and he's going to try to eke ahead. He barely holds on to that lead.
Wow, that was an impressive pass by Wagner, and Weisenberg did everything in his power to cling to it, but he wasn't able to. With 30 seconds to go, Wagner's going to see the white flag, but Weisenberg's not going to see the white at his might. He's not giving this up until it's over. Here they come down the front straightaway, battles back on, and Weisenberg's going to have a run on him.
It may be a bull on the side there of the number 5 machine, but it is Lucas Weisenberg that is seeing red, trying to make his way around the outside of Horseshoe. He's going to dive the car in deep. Gresham Wagner has the preferred line, banging doors there as they come down through the corner.
Side by side, Weisenberg's doing a phenomenal job around the outside at Horseshoe. What an unbelievable move. Can he re-clear Wagner through turn 2 and into turn 3? He does. Wagner crosses him over. This is an epic scrap for the top spot. These two drivers dueling for victory at VIR.
Got a little bit squirrely there coming out of NASCAR Bend, and a little bit squirrely again coming through left hook. Gresham Wagner certainly is going to know that. They now make their way up into Snake. This is all about the portion of the track here for Gresham Wagner where he just needs to be clean, but he dips big tires off into the grass there, and that's going to maybe lose him a tenth or so.
All right, 2 critical corners left for Lucas Weisenberg to cling to this lead. Oak Tree is one, Roller Coaster is the next. Wagner knows it. He knows where Weisenberg is weak. It's going to be that run up the hill into turn 14. That's where he got him last time. It's where he's going to try it again if he doesn't force the issue. And Oak Tree over the crest at South Bend. Here we go.
Here we go indeed. Weisenberg is going to have to take a little bit of a defensive line as Gresham Wagner looks to the outside there through Oak Tree. Weisenberg's got it held down here for the moment. Runs a little bit wide on the exit. Is that the mistake that Gresham Wagner needs?
Now nose to tail. It is a ticking time bomb here for Weisenberg. Wagner's going to have a run. Which side do you protect? Do you stay right? Do you stay left? He lost the lead last time, staying to driver's left. This time he's going to pick center track as the 5 has to pick which side. He'll go left this time as they run to Roller Coaster.
And I think he gave him a little bit of a bump, and that may have been just a little bit of overspeed. Lucas Weisenberg very late onto the binders coming down into Roller Coaster, but he's ahead as they exit the corner.
Down the hill, Roller Coaster one final time. Lucas Weisenberg doing battle with one of the best in sports car racing here in single make series. One final corner. It's going to be a run to the line in the draft for the number 5 of Wagner, but Weisenberg, DJ, coming to the stripe.
Weisenberg out of hog pen here, going to absolutely be leaning forward in the car, willing that number 46 on forward, and he's going to come to the line to take the checkered flag. Lucas Weisenberg, your winner from race 1 at VIR.
Watch that battle, and this one coming to the stripe. Gonzalez will grab 3rd place. Spike Kohlbecker 4th, Robusto 5th, and Rogers, Piscatell, Jackson Bell. That battle for 3rd through 8th finally coming coming to an end after they are just absolutely hanging their tongue out. That was exciting stuff. Here's Clemens and Mia Lovell heading down the hill. Big slide for Clemens in the pink car.
Yeah, big slide there for Clemens. Is that going to set up a little bit of an opportunity for the 68 of Mia Lovell? Clemens certainly thinks so, as he's going to try to defend that line as much as possible. Here comes Mia Lovell looking to the outside. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Clemens may have it by just a nose.
Yeah, that was very, very close, and the difference was 39 thousandths of a second. Give it to the pink 76 from BSI Racing. Mia Lovell, 12th in the 68 Smooge Racing car. An excellent run to the stripe there. That was fantastic. And DJ, you and I said before we jumped on air today that VIR, we expected to put on a show. I don't think I even expected the level of competition between the front two and the battle that they did, and fair play to both of them. That was an unbelievable battle. Here's some contact we saw late in the running. Oh, wow! Ooh. Big contact between the 27 to the 09 of Kat Lauren. That was Lev Uretsky from McCumbee McAleer Racing, and that was a miscalculation, I'd say, DJ.
Yeah, big-time miscalculation there, as both drivers having a little bit of damage, as you can imagine, coming down through that corner. There we see the extent of that damage on the number 27 McCumbee McAleer Racing machine. A big ka-thunk there, to say the least, and a lot of damage on the left-hand side of that car.
Yeah, you hate to see that, unfortunately, and damage to both cars in the final lap of the race is never what you want to see. But what a thrilling fight we had all through the field, and you have to give it to Lucas Weisenberg. The experience that Wagner has is almost unparalleled in single-make racing like this Toyota GR Cup. We knew that this would be a dogfight in this one, but just unbelievable driving by both, and fair play, DJ. They battled it out side to side, traded a little bit of vinyl here and there, but fair play.
Very much fair play, and of course, as we say that, you can see the right-hand mirror there kind of crimped in a little bit on Lucas Weisenberg's car, but that was good, clean, respectful racing there among the two. That is two competitors that are absolutely at the top of their game, really enjoying racing with one another, and it's a treat to watch.
Putting amazing racing on display here at VIR. Unbelievable drive. And that battle from 3rd through 8th, they got pretty frisky there a couple of times, but you got to give Gonzalez credit. Used up all the mulligans from race control, but managed to grab a podium out of it. Kolbecker, Robusto rounding out the top 5 here, DJ.
Yeah, very good running for everybody up and down through the field there, as we take a look at Kat Lauren making her way back around. Let's go ahead and look at the results screen here. As you said, Weisenberg, Wagner, and Gonzalez, your top 3. Spike Kolbecker, Will Robusto coming in 5th on debut. That's a very impressive performance. Will Rogers, Justin Piscatell, another debut performance there for Jackson Bell. Mark Pombo and Drake Kemper, we didn't really get to see them a whole lot there over the course of the race, but good running to be able to keep on to that top 10.
Absolutely. And Clemens and Lovell, they had a great battle all race long for 11th place. Clemens did eke it out there in the end by just 39 thousandths of a second. Austin Dodge, we didn't really mention him, or Kanan O'Connell, 13th and 14th. Good results for them. Michael Garcia, 15th.
Paul Bocuse back in 16th. Joey De Silva, Adam Eisman able to get ahead there of Tommy McCarthy. We saw a little bit of that battling going on. Kat Lauren and Lev Uretsky, we saw that battle take place there. Jack Woodfin and Aiden Yoder coming down into pit lane. We're going to take a look here at some of the highlights over the course of the race, as this was really and truly incredible. It seemed like at the beginning of the drop of the green flag, this was going to be the Gresham Wagner show, but the rest of the field had some different thoughts about that as they continued to go. Will Rogers having that mistake coming a problem back and over.
Yeah.
And making that little bit of a mistake there at that point. That put him right into that battle for P3 that we saw going on over the rest of the course of the race. Side-by-side action there between Tyler Gonzalez and Spike Kolbecker, as Will Rogers tried to get right up into the midst of that battle.
It was just the battle that never ended, 3rd through 8th. Here's the battle for the lead that ended with Wagner sliding off course down at Oak Tree, tucked back in as the 46 of Weisenberg took the top spot away, and that's teed up the battle that we saw for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and here is that exact battle. Gresham Wagner and Lucas Weisenberg going down into roller coaster, holding that out to the best of their abilities. So incredible that they didn't make contact. They were absolutely a paper's width apart there as they went. And this was eventually the move that gained Lucas Weisenberg back into the lead. Aggressive going out of Horseshoe, down in there, and coming across the line as we get ready to be able to go down to pit lane to Amanda Busick and our race winner.
Lucas, you were able to take advantage of Grisham Wagner on a mistake he had with about 18 minutes left to go in the race, and then he came right back at you on those final couple of laps. You gave these fans what we paid for here today. When you earn a victory, how sweet are those?
It's awesome. Being my first victory, third race in SRO. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't thank the team more. We had a really good car, getting it figured out. And yeah, just capitalizing on a mistake he made and held it to the end. It was a good battle, though. He's fought back.
Lucas Weisenberg, your winner here in Toyota's GR Cup.
Thank you so much to Amanda Busick there on pit lane with your winner. We take a look at Lucas getting out of the car, and an incredible battle out here today. There it is. So happy to see him. And guess what, Kyle? We get to do it all again tomorrow.
I can't wait to do it again tomorrow, DJ. If this race was anything to go by, tomorrow will be an absolute barn burner. Love watching drivers with huge smiles and just mirrors to pop out after all that.
Exactly. And as we said, we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us here. This is DJ and Kyle.